Factor trinomials. And the leading coefficient for all these are going to be 1, which makes it a lot easier. And for all these, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to this last number here and then add up to be that middle number. And some of you will be able to do this in your head rather quickly, and some of you will take time to write them out and kind of make a table. So if we kind of list for the numbers that multiply to 30, we could say, hey, 15 and 2. And we kind of think, is there any way to get 15 and 2 to add up to be 11? We can make either of these numbers negative or both of them negative as long as it still works out at the very end. And in this case, no, because 15 plus 2 is 17, 15 minus 2 is 13, and that doesn't be 11, so we can cross that off. The next one we can try would be 10 and 3. Is there any way to get 10 and 3 to add up to be 11? Well, 10 plus 3 is 13, 10 minus 3 is 7, so the answer would be no for that one as well. And we go back to say, okay, what else multiplies to 30? And when I say numbers, I mean integers for all of this. And that would be 6 and 5. So if we have 6 and 5, well, 6 times 5 is a positive 30, and then 6 plus 5 is a positive 11. So we can write this out as 6 plus 5, parentheses, x plus 5. And it doesn't matter which one you have first. We could flip this around and we'd be totally correct. For the next one, y squared minus 15y plus 56. We want to think of the numbers that multiply up to be, two numbers that multiply up to 56, positive 56, and then add up to be a negative 15. Well, probably the only numbers I can really think of would be, if I had to go 56, I think that's half of that would be 28. So, I mean, it could be 28 and 2. That's one combination that multiplies up to be 56. And we usually start with the numbers that multiply as we usually find the number, list the numbers that multiply up to those, and then find out which ones add up to it, the middle one. So 28 times 2 is 56, but there's no way to get 28 and 2 to be negative 15 or positive 15, so we're way off base. So let's try the most obvious, which would be 8 and 7. So 8 times 7 is 56, but we need this to be a negative 15, because 8 plus 7 is 15, but we want this to be a negative 15, and the way we could do that is by switching both of them, make it negative 8 and negative 7. Negative 8 minus 7 is negative 15, and if we were to add them up, or multiply them, negative 8 times negative 7 is a positive 56. So that would be our answer, y minus 8, and then y minus 7. And for the next one, x squared minus 5x minus 24, we're looking for two numbers that multiply it to be negative 24 and then add up to be a negative 5. So again, let's think of the numbers that multiply to be 24. Again, we could always as well have 24 and 1. That would be totally valid as well for numbers that multiply up. But there's no way to get 24 and 1. Add them up. 24 plus 1 is 25, and 24 minus 1 is 23, so that doesn't work. So we can cross that one off. Let's do the next one as 12 and 2. Well, 12 plus 2 is 14, and 12 minus 2 is 10, so that doesn't work. So we've got to think of another set of numbers that will multiply up to be 24. What about 6 and 4? Well, 6 times 4 is 24. We would need one of those to be negative. But there's no way to get this to add up to be a negative 5 or a positive 5 even. So 6 plus 4 is 10, and 6 minus 4 is 2, so we can cross that one off. And the last one that I can think of anyway is going to be 8 and 3. So 8 times 3 is 24. That means one of these needs to be negative. And if you kind of guess wrong, that's okay. We flip it. So if we had 8 and the negative 3, if we say, hey, we're going to try 8 and negative 3. Well, 8 minus 3 is a positive 5. We want it to be a negative 5. So what you have to do there is just flip the numbers and say, okay, negative 8 and a positive 3. Negative 8 plus 3 is a negative 5. So that checks out. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. And negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. So that's going to work out. And we're going to have x minus 8 and then x plus 3. And again, we can switch that around and say x plus 3 first. Doesn't matter. The order won't matter for this. And the last one, y squared plus 1y minus 72. We're going to find the numbers that multiply to 72. If we started with something like 36 and 2, well, 36 plus 2 is 38, and 36 minus 2 is 34, so that doesn't work. If we had, let's say, 72 and 1, well, 72 plus 1 is 73, and 72 minus 1 is 71, so that doesn't work either. And another set of numbers would be 9 and 8, so let's try 9 and 8. 9 times 8 is 72. We want this to be a negative, so that means one of them has to be negative. So let's try it to be a negative 8. So if we had, let's try it actually a negative 9 first. So if it was negative 9 plus 8, that'd be a negative 1. Well, we got the right number, but the wrong sign for it, so that just means we need to flip it around or switch in both. So it'd be a positive 9 and a negative 8. So 9 minus 8 is positive 1, and that means our final answer to it would be x plus 9. I'm sorry, I should say y plus 9. And then y minus 8. And if you have any kind of questions, go ahead and email your math teacher.